بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك نبي أمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. Hi everybody, we're broadcasting this from Jebel Dersa in Titouan, Morocco. This video is being sponsored by El Makoudi Language Center, and today I'm wearing a suit, something I don't usually do, but I'm doing it today because we're talking about business. Yes, we're talking about job interviews in English. So imagine you have a job interview tomorrow and the interview is gonna be in English. Don't panic. And before we get down to it, I'd like to say that the reason why I decided to shoot this video is a student. Her name is Kauter. So Kauter, if you're watching us, she was my student in the past, and she texted me and said, "Teacher, I got this job interview in English. Now what?" So yes, times are changing. And also here in Morocco, if you're looking for a job, you may have to go for an interview in English. So let's practice. Yes, but still before that, number one, remember, if you've been invited for an interview, that's a very good sign, because this means they have liked you. So congratulations. Being invited for an interview is in itself an achievement. Number two, after watching this live or this video, you shouldn't think that you're now absolutely ready for the interview and you shouldn't do anything else, Don't do that. We hope this video can help you get the job of your dreams. But if the interview is in English, you should be working to improve your English as well, because English is going to be important in that job. So don't just watch this interview. Don't just watch this video and that's all. No, work to improve your English always. And how do you improve your English? One way is to take a course at El Makoudi Language Center, or El Makoudi Litzalim Loghat, if you prefer the Arabic version of the name. That's one way. There are other ways to practice and use your English. I don't want to speak about that in detail now. But the thing is, the better you are at English, the more chances you have to get the job. So, yes, work to improve your English. And another thought, number three, interview questions vary from vacancy to vacancy, from job to job. So the questions that they ask to hire a teacher are possibly different from the questions that they ask to hire an engineer, for instance. However, there are some more general questions that are usually the same. So those are the ones we're addressing today. Okay, share this video because your friends may also find it useful if they have an interview, and so this can help them as well. So please remember to share the video and like it. Okay, so question one. Now let's get down to business. Yes, this is a question that they often ask. Sometimes they start the interview with this question. They say, "Tell me a little about yourself." So one way to answer the question is to, yes, you can relate your answer to the job you're seeking. So for example, imagine you want to be a waiter. I'll show you. So you're applying for this post. You're applying for the position of waiter. And they say, "Okay, tell me a little about yourself." So you can relate your answer to your experience as a waiter and say why you like being a waiter. And if you don't have any formal experience, it doesn't matter. You can just say something that shows you have something to do with that job. That's one way. But I think that's not enough if they ask you that question. The best is to don't talk just about work when they ask you. Just say something about yourself. You can share some fun facts about you. Interesting things about you that are not related to work, because you're not just work. They're asking about you. They're not asking about your previous experience. You can include that. But you're more than your work, aren't you? So for instance, I teach English. But there are a lot of things that I do and a lot of things that I like that are not directly related to English and are not directly related to teaching. So try to show more of yourself, the side of you that is not related just to your profession. You can talk about this too. Look. Yeah, talk about your hobbies. The things you like doing in your free time. Say where you grew up, where you studied. So I think, that's the best method. If they ask you to, tell me a little about yourself. Don't talk just about work. Talk about your hobbies. Show this other side of you that is maybe more interesting than just, work and job. I think that can help you leave a positive impression on the interviewer. So that's the first question. And okay, so question 2. Here you are. What are your biggest strengths? So strength means something you are good at. So if you are good at English, this is a strength that you have. The word strength comes from strong, a strong person. I'm strong, I'm strong. But strong is an adjective and strength is the noun. So basically, your strengths are, the things you're good at, the things you can do well. Now, if they ask you this question, don't just say you're good at something, but prove that. So imagine you are now applying for the position of receptionist at a hotel. So you want to be a receptionist. Don't just say something like this. I'm very communicative. Because being communicative is important if you want to be a receptionist, I suppose. No, you don't just say what you are. You have to prove that you are communicative. How? You tell a story. You tell a story that shows that you are communicative. And the story can come from your professional experience or not. So you can say, for example, that you tell a story. Last week, I went to a party, and I didn't know anybody at the party, but I made a couple of friends there. And the following week, I went out with those people that I had met the week before. So, simple stories like this, they kind of prove what you're saying. So don't just give a list of adjectives, I'm this and I'm that. No, tell stories that illustrate, that somehow prove what you're saying. Okay, so that's question 2. And another thing, still within this question. This is very important, please. When they ask you about your strengths, don't underestimate yourself. Because people, when you talk about strengths, people feel a little bit scared. They say, but do I have any strengths? Like they think, then they think about celebrities and, famous people. They think about Nelson Mandela. They say Nelson Mandela had strengths, not me. Nelson Mandela was a charismatic leader and everything, a good communicator. But no, I'll go through this, and imagine you're applying for the position of Arabic teacher. Do you think the employer is looking for a Nelson Mandela? Basically, if you think about most of the jobs that are out there in the job market, the employers, they basically need a person who can carry out a task. So if you're applying for the position of Arabic teacher, you should be able, for example, you should be able to teach the alphabet to school children. That's a task. And you should be able to carry out tasks when you're looking for a job. And you should be reliable. Reliable. So look up this word in the dictionary, because that's what the job market needs nowadays. People who are reliable and who can carry out tasks. And yes, with time, you can become a legendary teacher, a legendary dishwasher. You can be a Nelson Mandela with time. But what I'm saying is, don't put yourself under that much pressure when you're looking for a job, because that's not really what your employer needs at that moment in most cases. And you have strengths, because if they, as I said, if they invited you for the interview, it's because there is something you can do well. And so all you need to do is to talk about that. So one day you can be at that level. You can get there. You can be a superhero. You can be a superhero, but that comes with time. When you're just looking for a job, put your feet on the ground and think about what kind of tasks can I carry out. That's a strength. If you can teach the alphabet to school children, you can be an Arabic teacher. If you can do the dishes somehow fast, you can be a dishwasher. I mean, you can carry out tasks, so you can do the job. And so, yes, that's question number 2. Question number 3 is maybe the opposite of question number 2. That's a question that I often ask people: what is your greatest weakness? Weakness is the opposite of strength. So weakness is something you are bad at. For example, I'm bad at physics. That's a weakness. So listen carefully. If they ask you this question, don't give a strength in answer to this question, because that's what a lot of people do. The interviewer is asking you about your weakness. So don't say something like, I'm perfectionist, because people see being perfectionism, people see perfectionism as a strength, not as a weakness. So you're not answering the question that they asked you. And also, if you give a strength in answer to this question, that will sound like you are very immature. Immature means childish. You're behaving like a child. So we all have weaknesses because we are human beings. And part of being mature is to recognize these weaknesses. So how do you answer that question? Tell them a weakness that you have. You tell the truth, but of course, tell them a weakness that you're working to improve. Once they asked me this question at an interview, And I just told them the truth. I said, I hate paperwork because I'm a teacher, as you know, and my job involves a certain amount of paperwork. So for example, very simple example, teachers, they have a list, when they go to class, they have a list with the names of the students, and they have to take attendance. They have to see who is present and who is not in that class. So I would often forget to do that. I wouldn't take attendance, and that could cause, obviously, administrative problems, because the administration needs to know who's in class and who's not. So I told them that. I told them I hate paperwork, and I even mentioned this attendance thing. But fortunately, that's a weakness that it's easy, to deal with, because if by the way, if you suffer from this problem, you can just set the alarm, to remind you that you gotta take attendance. But that's it. I mean, so tell them a real weakness, a weakness that you have, and at the same time, don't just tell the weakness. Tell them what you're doing to improve that, so to overcome the weakness, so that the weakness disappears one day. And that's it. All right. Another question. Okay, and I think we're almost concluding here. Another question that they could ask you is this one, there you are. What do you know about our company? So please, before you go for an interview, do research about the company that you want to join. Yes, this is part of your homework, because during the interview you can give them information. This is probably going to surprise the interviewer. So the more you know about the company, the better. The better it is. So do some research and show them you know about the company. You're not just looking for a job. You want to join that company. That's what they want to hear from you. Most employers, they don't want to hire people who are just looking for a job because they need to pay their bills at the end of the month. They want a person who identifies with the company and who wants to join their company. So show you're interested, and do your homework, do your research before you go for the interview. And the last question, I think the last question today is maybe this. Why do you want to leave your current job? They will ask you that question in case you already have a job, but you're going for an interview because, yes, you want to give up your current job. And if they ask you this question, don't criticize anybody. Don't be negative. Don't badmouth your manager or something like that. You just focus on the positive side that you think the change will bring you. So probably you're looking for a job because, and then you can highlight, the good things that, the company you want to join, the good things that they have. So, but don't criticize the company you're working for that will show you're a negative person. Don't do that. Okay, and then at the end, ask your interviewer a few questions too. The interviewer is going to ask you questions. At the end of the interview, it's your turn. Don't miss this chance. Don't miss this opportunity. Yes, don't miss this opportunity to ask them a few questions yourself, because that will show you're interested in the job. And also, just like the company wants to know if you're a good fit for them, And you should, yeah, you also need to know if the company is a good fit for you. It should be mutual. So this is it. Ask them, always ask them a few questions before you go away. And this is it. I hope we have been useful. I hope we've been helpful today. And yes, so always prepare yourself well before you go for an interview. And yes, now think how you can answer these questions in English. All these questions that I showed you. So think how you can answer them. Okay. And all the best. Thank you so much. I'm Elias Guimarães. Goodbye.